Yeah.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day to everyone, wherever you are and wherever you're joining from. Today, it is our delight to have you in the Analytics Africa meetup for July 2024. July 2024 is a wonderful time because it's a lot of things happening in the world in the space of AI. And we also know that we are in for an exciting session tonight. Tonight, we have Moshood Yahaya, who is a data scientist with a UK-based company called Founder and Lightning. And also, he is one of the experts that I have worked with at many conferences presenting on various topics on data analytics and AI. Today, Moshood will be talking to us on the critical evaluation of the future role of AI in business and society. And I have no doubts it's going to be an exciting time. Moshood is the founder of Applied AI Society at the University of Bradford, that's in Northern England. And he's also the co-founder of Work Visa Sponsors. In addition to that, he has been a research and technical mentor at Data Science Nigeria. He's been working with Open Classrooms. And of course, he has done a lot of stuff across multiple companies, both in Nigeria and beyond. He is a gentleman and he is a very smart guy and someone I respect very much. He's quiet, he's simple, but very, very broad and vast. Tonight, I know we are going to have an exciting time with Moshood as he takes us on the evaluation of the future role of AI in business and society. And also, we know that we will be fully equipped to be able to apply this in the future. Before we do that, Analytics Africa is a non-profit organization where we come together monthly to organize ourselves to share knowledge. We want to be a melting pot for people who are in the roles of AI and data analytics, where we share knowledge, explain things to ourselves, and grow the skill sets that we have. We know today is going to be an exciting time and everything's going to be beautiful because we have one of the experts in the house. And I cannot wait to learn from Moshood. Okay, thank you for everything, Moshood. Thank you for coming and it is over to you. How are you today and how is the UK? Raining as usual or is bright and sunny?
Bright and sunny. I mean, it's the typical sub-Saharan African weather today. It's quite hot, and I mean, the sort of weather you like all year round. Thank you so much for having me today, and thanks for the generous introduction.
You're welcome.
I wouldn't have done a good justice to the introduction myself as much as you've done because it's one of the things I probably simply just introduce myself as my name. Good to
Over to
be
you.
on. Yeah, thank you so much. Good to be on this session today. First off, I would start by saying, by commending you with the immense work Analytics Africa is doing. It's been an immense sort of experience in the wonderful ideas and implementation being churned out from this wonderful organization. I've followed closely for a while and seeing the wonderful and impressive list of speakers that have helped to come and help to build capacity and share knowledge here. Thanks so much for bringing this into light and helping our people to grow in analytics, AI, and technology in general. Thanks so much. Starting today's session, we're talking about the critical, the evaluation, like how do I put it? We're talking about the future role of AI in business. Now, when we talk about the future role of AI in business, we'll look at it in different ways. What is AI? What are the different applications of AI in business? Are there risks surrounding the use of AI in business? And are there gains or benefits? Is it a case of a competition between AI and the people? And interestingly, I saw a post that you made few days ago about the fact that AI is actually not going to take our businesses or take our job, if I put it that way. But those who apply AI would most likely take the job of those who decide to run away from it. Now, if you look at every single sort of industrial evolution that has happened in the past, it's been down to some sort of craving in the business world, some sort of political movement, or some sort of skill and career building movement that necessitates that sort of what's it called industrial evolution. Now, the current industrial evolution we're in is literally an intelligence one. It's one that impresses on creativity, innovation, and being dynamic with your output and with your delivery of intelligence knowledge. In the past, it used to be the strongest at some point who works in factories and manufacturing organization. Later, it became the engineers and the doctors and the likes who were highly skilled. Now it's literally about technical skill set and being able to apply it. What sort of impact is this going to have on our world going forward? And before we can appreciate the sort of impact this is going to have on our world going forward, we need to know where we're coming from and where we're currently at. And this is the crux of what we're going to discuss today. And that takes us into the agenda. First on the list is the evolution of AI itself, and then the application of AI in the different fields, be it in governance, in business, and the likes, the impact of these applications and the benefits that we've derived as a society or community or people, as it were, the limitation in the current application of AI and the challenges that we currently face, and how do we look at the challenges? Is it a case of exploring the benefits and impact a lot more, or dwelling on the negativities to see how we apply AI? This is the bit of journey we're going to take ourselves to today, and I hope, and I'm very certain it's going to be an exciting one. So join me on the ride. This that you have on the screen is a list of movies that has one way or the other had some sort of undertone with AI. My favorite is Person of Interest, and that's actually what got me, strangely, is one of those things that got me into learning a lot more about AI. Person of Interest is a series about a very smart computer scientist who built an algorithm that would help the United States Homeland Security track when terror cases are going to happen and being able to fight it. And at some point, it was deployed internally. It's exemplified everything about AI today: the benefits, the ills, the ethical challenges that we run away from. So it's a case of being deployed in the internal security now gives the opportunity to determine the next crime scene. It predicts when the next crime is going to happen, who is going to happen to, and it helps people to be able to fight such crime. But then it fell into the hand of non-security agents who were actually fighting it in their own hands. This is one risk, that AI and the immense importance that it has might actually fall into some negative hands and probably put us at risk. The other thing is it's attached to security surveillances. So when you're crossing the street, you're being recorded, and this is being fed to the AI, and motive of what you're going to do next probably comes all the way from there. Do we think we're comfortable with being recorded at every step of the way, even if it brings such level of benefit? So Person of Interest exemplify the current state of AI. iRobot is probably the most popular about deployment of AI and robotics at the same time. And we all know how that story went. Artificial intelligence, on the other hand, is someone who's been longing to have a child. An artificial intelligence child was built, and very interesting stuff there. My second favorite is Simeon. It was a case. I mean, it's literally pointing towards what we're currently experiencing now, which is you can generate videos that do not actually exist using text, and some of that, not exactly the same thing, but very similar happened in Simon. An actor was needed for a movie, and a virtual sort of actor was created and embedded into the movie, became a star, and the creator of the actor needed to even form bad habits on the actor so people stop liking, and it all went that way. We've seen typical example of a candidate in Russia once, an artificial intelligence candidate who got a lot of votes, and people never knew it was a virtual human, non-existent. So the reason for sharing this screen is for us to see that a few of these things were actually being brought to our faces over time, whether we like it or not, on what is to be expected in future with AI. The other reason this is being shared is along the journey, we will then explore how much we appreciate what we're looking at. Would we like to go back to the days where you travel within the UK and then you drop at every 15 minutes interval to see the roadmap on the wall that leads to where you're going to, or the benefit that the Google Maps and the likes bring to us that helps us to navigate ourselves all the way to where we're going with little or no assistance? Would we prefer that sort of level? And these are the journey that we have on our hands, the decisions we have to make to see where exactly we want to place ourselves. Do we revel on the positive of AI, or do we just dwell on the negative and run away from the benefit that come with AI? It's going to be a bit of a journey, and literally that's where we're going. So the first part is the evolution of AI, just like I stated in the outline. AI has come of age. It's literally pre weak AI states was where you have the fuzzy logic and expert system. At that stage, it was literally using expert knowledge to create multi-dimension decision making. It's literally looking at, for example, what you do in operation research in those days in the uni, simplex multiplier, multi-dimensional decision making, TOPSIS, and all those things. You're using it to make decisions. A typical example of such application these days is still in credit risk analysis. So credit models are built off multi-dimensional decision making. It's not your traditional machine learning. It comes with a set of rules, and points are allocated for what you get for each set of rules that you tick off positively. The ones you tick off negatively count against you, and that's why so many people have different score on a credit scoring scale. This is the concept. But AI, as we have it today, literally is at the weak state. So the weak AI is exemplified by the ability to perform function in specific areas only. For example, you would argue, if we say it's weak AI, then why then do we have Teslas that drive? Because it performs only a function. It's a combination of different sort of AI tools put together in one. So the computer vision aspect helps to detect what is on the road. If it's a road, then it keeps driving. If it's a barrier, then it stops. If it's a human, then it stops. So it literally does just a single task. And then the navigation aspect directs you to where you set your navigation to. And that's literally the sort of ways self-driving cars goes. The same thing goes with the almighty ChatGPT. What it does currently is a specific task, a single question. It doesn't have the ability to be intuitive. It doesn't have the ability to be emotional. It doesn't have the ability to be considerate. It doesn't have the ability to act like human, but it can perform the task given to it like human. It doesn't have the ability to pick up tasks by itself. It doesn't have the ability to know what's right or what's wrong, except what it's been trained on. It doesn't have the ability to say, okay, this is the next thing to be done, even when I don't tell it, and it does it. So basically, it's doesn't have ability to run autonomously and solve problem in other areas where it wasn't trained for or it wasn't asked to do. It outperforms human in the current state it's been built to do. A typical example is if you pick up a complex computation exercise, maybe containing 1,000 different computation exercise, plus, minus, multiply, division, all of that, put it together and put in ChatGPT. It's going to answer you in a second. And it's going to take human so long to get into that sort of thing as well. So it outperforms you in what it's being told to do, but it doesn't have the ability to run autonomously. It still needs prompting. It still needs direction. It's against what you see in movies like iRobot, where the robots are on the road, programmed with AI and having the ability to act on their own. The moment we get to that stage, there's a chance that they can even build themselves even a lot more, which is part of the risk. The next stage, which has been really predicted for the last how many decades, is the AGI. I'm sure if you search AGI on LinkedIn these days, you see almost every single day tons of things coming up about AGI, most notably the prediction that OpenAI would break the AGI, long-standing AGI target this year, which they inadvertently moved to, I think, 2016 or something. What exemplifies the AGI is it performs in several areas, not necessarily a single line of action or dictates that is being given. It performs accurately and exceptionally in several areas. It has ability to solve problems in other areas. So that inability from the weak AI is negated here. It has ability to perform in different areas, and in those areas, it outperforms humans. Now, this has been the target of the AI space for decades to come. It's always been said, okay, next decade we're going to get into the AGI phase, but a lot of limitation. Computing capacity, knowledge is another thing. Storage capacity, and you would agree where we really come from. Some of us that grew up in late 80s and early 90s know what a 5 MB storage used to look like, but right now it's 5 MB storage of that time is actually way smaller than what a 5, 10, 20 gig would be now. So over time, when storage is getting more compacted and we have the ability to do a lot more with storage, with better computing capacity at your fingertip, and that's why you see, since the AI revolution really boomed in the last 2 years, the biggest gainers have been NVIDIA, for example, because AI is very crude. The more you build, the more computing capacity you need. And that's why some level of competition with organizations like OpenAI would be hard, except you have the finances, because it's all about the computing capacity. And then the next thing is knowledge up to that level that give us the AGI. Yes, a lot of people would argue that we're almost already there, but until we get there, before we realize how much knowledge we really have the capacity to handle that sort of level, from the technical point of view, the ethical point of view, the governance. Because as it were, you see that governance, ethics, legal, they're chasing AI development. Nobody has an answer for what has not happened. It's until it happens before we start knowing what the next phase is going to be. So that's one of the biggest challenges in actualizing the AGI level, which is typically the strong AI. There's no gainsaying that we're so far away from having the conscious or self-aware level of AI, which is the super AI. I mean, not until we achieve the AGI before we'd even target that. This is where how long AI has come, and this is where we are today. The artificial narrow intelligence, which is weak AI, basically, is where we are today. Now, what have we been able to achieve, even within the weak AI landscape? What have we been able to achieve? What have we been able to apply within businesses and the society? and that's where we're going next. The application of AI has been numerous in healthcare, in business, in education, in finance, in legal, manufacturing, transport, security, and defense. In healthcare, we've seen virtual operations done these days. We've seen doctors being able, patients being able to access doctors online using digital telemarketing platforms. We've seen a lot of prediction of the possible sickness based on the case notes of patients using multi classification models to be able to know what sort of sickness or the number of different sicknesses a person can have. We've seen different sort of, the most popular thing that people, when they first get into AI, is to test if somebody has a sickness or not, cancer, different sort of things. And this is how much AI has gone in the healthcare space. The biggest adopters of AI technology are in the healthcare, and not just healthcare for direct medicine, even in the pharmaceutical sector as well, using it to know supply chain method, last mile delivery. During the COVID-19, a lot of that was used to check last mile delivery of vaccine, know how you should store your vaccine, because these are things that when it leaves the refrigerator for a day, it's no longer usable. So being able to track delivery system and the whole of the value within the whole of the value chain was very, very necessary for the pharmaceutical industry, as it were. Businesses are literally the second, one of the largest adopters as well, and it's not far-fetched because people put so much effort to development and innovation when money is involved. So you see some of the biggest adoption in AI, strangely, is recommendation engine, for example. A lot of e-commerce organizations use recommendation engine to predict what people would buy next, and then use that to personalize their sort of experiences. How many times have you gone on Amazon, buy an item, and you end up buying 5 or 6 more? I remember the last time I bought an iPhone, I was suggested an AirPod, a charger, and phone case, and I actually bought all of them. These are the things I wouldn't buy if it wasn't a personalized experience. So the motive behind your search and the consistency in your search, it uses what people like you have searched. People who search something like this, search something other than that. The biggest the organization that really made recommendation engine popular the most is organizations like Netflix. Netflix tried a lot to personalize our experience when we're watching movies, and we're able to see that if you look at your feed, it most likely will be different from mine because your interests are probably different from mine. And there's a chance that every movie they push across to you, when you watch it, you would enjoy it. And that means most times you would end up watching their recommendations. These are some of the benefits of some of the impact AI has made so far in businesses, and a lot more of them using technology to digitize businesses, being able to build chatbots for different organizations and all of that, especially in the real estate space. A lot of multi-tenancy and multi-family real estate settings now uses AI, large language model, to be able to provide immediate repair services and estate management, basically. Education has benefited a lot. No gainsaying, ChatGPT has really helped a lot in research. A lot more of them, Squidbots and the likes that help in research. Different other ones that you used to do, what's it called? What's this thing in research again? Your literature review, being able to get different literatures that relate to the topic you're working on. There's one of them that uses graph network analysis that connects topics to different reliable topics that would help you to improve your research as well. These are very impressive areas. I've talked about in finance, what's it called? Credit risk analysis, credit risk modeling, knowing when someone would default, knowing what the ability to pay back is, and also using that to look at different customer level and the sort of finance or banking product that would really feed that sort of class a lot more. The legal space is more used in the US than any other space. It comes with its limitations, some of which we'll talk about later, but it helps to predict possible risk hotspots in the community, people that are most likely going to commit a risk. Yes, it comes with the risk of profiling certain individuals because criminals probably are perceived to look certain ways and people will get profiled. It's one of the ethical limitations we'll talk about. Part of what is used also is summarizing what's it called, legal and compliance documentation, being able to make suggestions based on legal and compliance standard to help people to meet compliance requirements and legal requirements in organizations. Manufacturing has gone far ahead of most industries. Maintenance in the manufacturing sector, a lot of it is digital twin and IoT, using IoT collected data to be able to predict when an asset is probably going to fail. I did a research on something like this, digital twin for maintenance to predict the end life of assets, when it's going to fail. Similar thing is in transport. They are quite similar, heavy equipment, high level sort of usage. Failure rate is not allowed in both sectors because a single failure in those sectors can lead to so much accident. Security and defense are seeing a lot of offshoots in AI as well. We'll move a bit further. So that takes us to the benefits after exploring the different examples of what's being done so far. Politically, there are times where people go to the war front. It's only less advanced organizations that would make those such risks. Now you have military robots and autonomous drones. You can be sat in the US and control a drone that goes to attack somewhere. Now, this is some of the things we obviously don't want to talk about because we don't pray for war, but this is, again, some of the things countries use to keep their military strength and the like. Skeletons are literally skeletons that are used to go through mines that are used to embedded into the human body to give them strength and endurance during war. And insectoid are used to go through mines instead of humans going to detect mines on the minefield. Insectoid would go there, and if there's any sort of blast, the insectoid is lost. This reduces human casualties in war. You can use AI to support decision making in politics, and you can tell very well in countries like the UK, they can make decisions on when to come up with an integration of immigrants or not, based on informed decision from data. The planned maintenance for ships and planes. There's no leaving the president stranded because the aeroplane has got damaged, because you can use AI to predict the useful life of an asset, when the asset is going to fail, the maintenance structure to use. As we are aware, there is descriptive maintenance, there's predictive, there's prescriptive. A lot of the predictive and prescriptive analysis, would come into play here. It helps us to predict when there's going to be possible failure and prescribe what to do next. It also helps people to know possibly what party to vote. We've seen a few of that. I mentioned what happened in Russia, where someone contested for an election. People they were so oblivious to the fact that that wasn't a real human, but a virtual entity that contested for an election in Russia and actually won. If you watch the documentary on Netflix called Cambridge Analytica, it's also a case of using data to affect decisions of the people who they vote. And all of this comes from feeding them certain data to learn their sort of mindset and program the sort of campaigns that will make them vote for who they want to vote. Meaning, all of us on this call, we can get the same sort of campaign to vote for one candidate, but the campaign is going to be specific to each of us, different campaigns. If I'm more liberal, they would feed me with a campaign that suits the liberal. If I'm more conservative, they will feed me with a sort of campaign that suits the conservative. This was purported to have been used in the Trump-Clinton election and also purported to have been used in the Brexit as well. The economical part is what interests most of us on this call, is the fact that it was predicted that as of 2018, a number that has actually gone up, that over 50 million jobs will be created worldwide 5 years post 2018, which is probably over by now. The number should have even gone up. It enhanced job delivery. There used to be a time before the likes of ChatGPT where you would deliver certain tasks in months or years. You can actually deliver them now in weeks. I'll give you a typical example. Now there's a role called AI engineering, which doesn't exist 2-3 years ago. An AI engineer's role is a role of somebody that applies existing AI model or tools to, by pre-training it or applying it to build instant points, proof of concept of AI products and embed it in their product. So it's literally suitable for product developers, and it helps them to iterate so fast and build so fast. Now, if you want to build a recommendation engine, for example, you would spend time collecting data. If it's a greenfield project, it means the person or the organization doesn't have data set. So you stay on the fringe, building the data pipeline for months and looking for when the suitable amount of data comes. And when that comes, you clean data, you work on it, build one model. Your first accuracy will probably be 10%, and then you keep building and iterating. But with the use of already built AI tools and products, you can use the likes of Amazon Personalized to build a recommendation engine instantly using synthesized data to build your POC, and then it helps you to learn on the job when your clients start interacting. That's how powerful. And you can achieve this in just a few hours or a day at most. And this is what we used to achieve in like 6-8 months, 1 year. The same thing, I think recently, I'm working on a professional social media platform, and I built a content moderation model recently. And the content moderation, apologies for the noise, a car just zoomed by. So the content moderation was, both text, image, and yes, of course, video as well. And how did we achieve this? Is to use ready-made AI products to be able to build our content moderation. It's so funny you're using AI to build an AI product, but that's what it is these days. It makes jobs easier, and it's even better quality because you're moderating content with ChatGPT's content moderation model, which has over billions, hundreds of billions of data sets. And I can't even achieve 1 million samples of data in the next 1 year. So it's more intuitive than I would ever get it. So if you're trying to remove the word kill from your social media platform, if it's not intuitive, if anybody who uses the word kill gets removed, and their post gets removed. But in this case, it looks at the context. So basically, if I say Apple is killing Samsung, that's not offensive. But if I say Moshood wants to kill Tosin, then that's offensive. So the context comes in and it becomes even more impressive. These are some of the benefits we've gotten from AI businesses scale faster, grow faster, achieve a lot that we can achieve in the time past a lot faster. Better productivity, you get to debug a lot faster, you get to research a lot faster, solve problem a lot faster, and taking away routine, boring tasks if you can automate the process of applying AI in this case. In terms of societal interactions, can be improved even with human absence. We're currently having a teleconference with none of us available. I can make interaction and it gives the thumbs up and all of that. These are some of the benefits of AI. We don't have to be in the same space to be able to interact anymore. We can use it to predict serious sicknesses, like I talked about in healthcare. Technology advancement, ChatGPT is a typical example. There are other huge. Llama just released a huge model. The competition is so high now. Apple is releasing the same sort of high level large language model as well. Environmental, this is one of the strangest part of this. In terms of the environment, we would say it reduces energy consumption within the users, but on the upper level, it actually increases energy consumption on the other side, because the data center consume 45% of the global energy, or 40% thereabout. So that's a bit ironic, but I mean, from our point of view, it reduces energy consumptions. You can set up a smart city, smart home. You walk out of your house and the power shut down. The moment you walk back in, the power goes on. If you move within a particular space, the security light comes on, and all of the smart sort of technology helps to reduce energy consumptions, even in vehicles and the like as well. The legal aspect, I've talked about predicting crime hotspots, predicting who is guilty or not in a crime case. That's actually very subjective because there are possible ethical challenges around it. We're going to talk about that a few more. I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm trying to breeze through these. So we're currently in the limitation of AI. The current artificial narrow intelligence have got so much that I already gave as example as what's been achieved already. We have the digital voice assistance, recommendation engine, search engine, chatbots, autonomous vehicle image recognition, typical examples that are brought to life. But then what's stopping us from achieving the artificial general intelligence is that are we capable from the intellectual point of view? Are they even possible? Do we have the resources, the computing capacity, the storage capacity? Optimistic experts believe that they are possible. However, it's quite difficult because we've been really far away from it and we've been chasing it for a bit. But then, as the CEO of CodeBot said, it's like an unending case of the parable of the what's it called? I would explain that a bit, but it's more like the more you peel the layer, the more it gets exposed a lot more. So it's literally a case of we keep saying we would get there. There's some argument that says that the big AI companies are actually making a lot of noise about AGI because that helps them to get funding. Is this really realistic? Is this something we're close to achieving? That's a lot of questions that we would need to ask. So the limitation here is about knowledge capacity, computing capacity, storage capacity. Are we even ready from ethical, legal, or governance point of view to meet this level of development? We've been playing the catch-up game, even if we're not yet in the AGI stage. Now imagine the level of growth that the AGI would bring and how much far away we're from that level of development. So AI's growth has been pretty much rapid. Powerful potentials and capabilities have made many people paranoid about the possibility of AI taking over. If you're an avid Twitter user like myself, you see a lot of the AI big names get involved in so many arguments regularly on Twitter, and it makes me laugh. The Andrew NGs, the Jean LeCun, and the even Elon Musk, Brian Olufsen, and the big names when it comes to AI keep agreeing. But what you would observe is Brian Olufsen is more of an ethical person. So he's one of the alarmists that will tell you AI is going to bring all of us down. But the Andrew NGs and the Jan LeCun would tell you that most of the noise we're making is just on 0.001 possibly of the threat or of the potential that AI has. So why do we dwell on the negative rather than the positive? So it's literally a case of, do we regulate before we develop, or do we develop before we regulate? It's been a consistent sort of discussion amongst these experts. So the key concerns are this: AI could be programmed to do something devastating if non-ethical or non-well-thinking individuals get hold of proper AI technology. AI, or the artificial intelligence field, is currently not a recognized professional setting like you would have in engineering, civil engineering, accounting. So there's no regulation as to the conduct of AI practitioners. So how do we even know what people can do? The knowledge is readily available on the internet. Anybody can go on the internet and learn AI within months. So how do we know what to let out for people to learn? The other part is AI could be programmed to do something beneficial, but develop a destructive method for achieving its own goal. And this is one of the biggest fear for advanced general intelligence, because if AI becomes emotional, AI becomes intuitive, reasons by itself, who can predict what the AI would do if it decides to start making decisions by itself? What if you build one robot and the robot wakes up one day and decides to create 1 million more robots and decides to take over the world, which is one of the fairy tale, one of the stories we see on the, what's it called, on the Hollywood movies about robots and AI. But who says this cannot happen? So a whole lot of fears and things to look at. So from the political point of view, from every facet of the things we've looked at, there's always that discussion of the positive or the negative. Politically, people would have the strongest level of AI and can be able to use it. Will they use it for peace or for war? In terms of work, will it result to economic unemployment, or would it help us to grow more and increase productivity? From me, I'll tell you, it's increased productivity. I use it a lot more, but some jobs would gradually get killed. 2 years ago, people talk about how much you should learn SQL and all of that, but these days, people just need to frame what they want to get from a database, and they get a response for ChatGPT in 1 second. So the question now comes: do people really need to train themselves to be exceedingly good in SQL, for example, or just to have basic knowledge to be able to carry out that task? So is it laying off or denying people with those old knowledge work, or do we think it helps people to grow basically? In terms of the society, does it make up for a wonderful society like we have, where we can navigate around with Google, what's it called, Google Map, or like you can buy food on Just Eat and they recommend the next thing for you to eat and all of that? Or does it make life hell for us by stealing our data set and pushing us to vote for people that we probably wouldn't want to vote for, by intelligently diverting our attention? Technology effect, is it more of a collapse of law and order, or is it control and regulation? these are key debates that would continuously be ongoing, and it's not even to close to being to be at an end anytime soon. Environmental aspect, pollution or renewable. Like I talked about, the fact that we have reduced energy usage, but the data centers that are hosting the data that we use to build crude AI systems are probably consuming a lot more energy. So which do we think is more beneficial, the pollution or the renewable side of things? And in terms of law, is it a deadlock? Is it a case of preempting what's it called, judgment against certain people, or is it an innovation that will help us grow our legal system? The big discussion here is this: the closest industrial revolution to what we have, the closest revolution to what we have is the last industrial revolution, which is which is the industrial one. And the industrial revolution, the foundation was built on physical energy. That's the period where the head of the family is a male everywhere in the world, and the richest people is those people that are physically the strongest, that can work in factories and manufacturing industries. They are the richest in the community. And right now, it's more about power of thinking and intelligence. And that's why the CEO of NVIDIA said what they're trying to achieve is when people would be able is to build domain expertise, so that somebody in the art space can actually build a technology product that will be as good as what a software developer will build, because they want to reduce the need for coding as much as possible. And we're already getting there. You give certain descriptions to ChatGPT or a very intelligent large language model, and they help you to build whatever you need to build as much as you want it. So it's literally about thinking, innovation. So what I typically would say is that technicality would die, but innovation will improve. Technicality would die, but innovation, thinking, intelligence will improve. In terms of industrial evolution, machines were powered by steams were displaced, while in our case, the industrial evolution 4.0 will be displaced. Digital, AI, and robotics is what we're bringing into the fore. The scale was siloed on industrial level in the industrial evolution, but in our case, it's going to be global digital, and the speed is rapid, very rapid. If you go on a break for 2 weeks, it seems like you're missing out of the AI development. It's so fast and rapid. The disruption is digital, mental, and intellectual, and the level of impact can be low, can be medium, can be high. We're going to talk about that for a bit. But the sad part is currently hardly regulated. Only data regulation is currently done. A lot of devastating blow can be done by anyone, because the biggest question is, if a Tesla hits a person on the road, who is liable? Is it the Tesla car as an entity because it drives itself, or is it the person who owns the Tesla car, or the person who was driving at that time, or the company Tesla? So these are a lot of gray areas in applied AI that's still very subject to a lot of discussion and improvement. Human rights, no human rights as regards AI for now. A lot of discussion are going on, and still so many things to say. But then let's go a step further and look at what the big professionals are saying about AI. Nick Bostrom says it's the unlimited fable of the sparrow. Literally, we just keep predicting, we just keep it's an unending discussion and chat on what probably we don't even know where it's going to fall, which is what he described as the unlimited fable of the sparrow. Elon Musk, who has been one of the biggest voices against AI, rapid AI development, has always maintained consistently that AI is going to be the biggest existential threat to human yet. and that if AI falls into the wrong hands, that we are all going to be in a mess. Mark Zuckerberg, on the other hand, has literally always says that the positive outweighs the negative, and he calls for regulation basically to manage the tiny bit of negative, but requires that AI development should still be continued and regulation to focus on the harmful elements of AI. Bill Gates said organizations and individuals to be wary of the potential implication of AI development. What's the way forward? We've talked about the wonderful, wonderful things we can do with AI. We've done a bit of scaremongering, talking about the possible risk with deploying AI and the possible challenges, but what are the way forward? Now, the GDPR, as we have it in Europe, America, and the UK, permits individuals to provide general consent in relation to how their data is being used. So basically, it's probably the first step that has been taken in working on how ethical concerns can be alleviated. But then there's a difference between ethics and legality. Ethics is only a sort of perceived right or wrong with regards to business discharge, and how do you hold a company responsible? A company that doesn't care about ethics would never be held responsible with whatever they do if the only challenge is about AI and data stays in the ethical stage. So legal and ethical framework has to be rightly put together. The Asilomar principle had a very, very wonderful way to carve that out. A lot of conferences has been happening. The UK did a very huge data conference in the past. Europe is also picking up on a lot of that as well. So basically, we're looking at the possible enforcement to develop smart regulation. How do we, I mean, we're talking about a never-ending development in the AI space. How do we get ahead of time to regulate before it happens, or do we allow development and then regulate against each development as they happen? So a lot of things are there for us to consider. Employment, we should create a framework that if any development affects the employment of a percentage of the population in a particular place, then that AI development should be put on hold, because when the people are not sufficiently catered for, then the society gets even more at risk. Ethics, we should commit to equip AI systems with clear understanding of and human value. I mean, explainability should be the number one thing. Every AI system should be explainable for people to understand what goes in and what goes out. We should favor using the simpler models, traditional machine learning model, rather than the deep learning, except when it is essential. I mean, if I'm doing credit risk model, instead of using the big deep learning model that is a black box that even the developer cannot explain, it's better to go through a traditional machine learning model where you did your dimensionality reduction by yourself and understand what goes in and what goes out. Also, we should also check if there's possible harm as a result of the AI development. And if there is, then we'll probably look at the level of engagement of such development. So the educational side, a lot of knowledge sharing, like we're doing currently, sensitization, democratizing the knowledge of AI would help people to understand AI a lot better rather than seeing it as something for only geeks. We can move forward a bit more. So still on the ethical side of things, we're currently in the deontological approach, which is more about the fundamental rights. And since nothing has been held on the legal side of things, we should look towards a more consequentialist approach, which means that civil responsibility for public good should rest on the people that build AI products. Like I said before, we have to be responsible when we're building. And what are the things we look at? An AI system should be explainable. It should be monitorable. If you can't monitor your AI system, then there's a problem. If you can't reproduce what you build, then it's as good as a black box. You can be able to walk through producing, which means if it poses a trace, you can't retrace it back again by yourself. We should be as secure as possible and human-centered, because human are to be the one to use it. So we should obviously put human in mind, and obviously unbiased. The biggest part, some of the biggest challenge, which I've hardly talked about, is the bias within the AI space. I talked about the legal system in the US, for example, that uses the the AI for in the legal industry, for example. There's a bigger tendency of a black man being predicted to be a criminal than other people of different races, which is profiling and identification of people of that race. And every AI development should be justifiable. You don't just build because I learned the technology and I have to do it. It should be justifiable. I would end on this note with a public intelligence metrics by Sherry Matthew and what's it called, AI Technot community. With the public intelligence framework, it helps you to view your AI product and see what you're trying to build. What kind of intelligence are you designing? What's the capability? Are you able to assess the capability that it possesses? If it's unknown, then there's a huge challenge there. Then the next thing is, what is the purpose of what we're building? Have you done your research? Is it a pilot idea, or it's an idea that you're building on what's existing? Is it a pilot? What level of risk does it carry? And how much of challenge do we hold? Are we augmenting existing level of intelligence, or we're replacing what's existing? What's the level of risk? And all of this brings us into decision making here. Whenever we have a decision in the what's it called, the green space, it means we have the go ahead to release whatever we want to. It is unknown, but the risk is low. It is known, the risk is equally low. But when it becomes unknown and the risk is high, then it's something we should probably pivot or completely eliminate. On the final notes, the word of Dr. Evan Scott, the founder and CEO of CodeBot, is what I will leave us to end today with. And he says, the future of AI, the future is actually that of human and machine, and not necessarily human versus machine. AI will bring you what you want mostly, and that is time. I talked about the fact that you can build what would have taken you 16 months in the past now within a week. That is time. The competition is not between human and AI. It's not human versus AI. It is a complementary future of human and AI together. On this note, I end my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Moshood. Wonderful conversation. Thank you for being very, very, very exhaustive with your presentation. It's a beautiful job you've done, and sincerely appreciate what you've done. Thank you very, very, very much. I think you've done a lot of, been very explicit, so there's no point pushing or asking too many questions. You've done a very, very good job. One question I would rather just ask is, at what point do you think we will get to that point where we will achieve low code, no code intelligence when it comes to software development? I know we are there, but the you still need to have some level of coding skill set. I want to ask somebody who went to school to study mass communication to come and work on Buffer or Power Apps. Maybe she can use Google Forms, yes, which is a level of low code, no code. But at what point do you think we'll get to that level?
I think we're as close as ever to that level than we ever have been. And what brought us really close to that level is the fact that a lot of the processes can be automated using some intelligence to give us results and all of that. These days, even the most intelligent programmer or software developer, whilst working, have GitHub Copilot on the side and a few other assisting technology. It's already pointing us to the fact one of the biggest risks to getting to that point is the technologist would rather still remain technologist. We don't want to leave the technical work for a bit, especially because of how highly rewarding it might be. And the technologist field leaves you for a bit. If you're using a tool and you leave it for 6-8 months, it seems like you're getting lost. So I think it's still that sort of nostalgia of doing things by writing code and all of that in some way, and also the fear of losing completely the technicality in our people. But I think we're getting there as fast as possible. One of the biggest push to it would be a lot of the cloud providers, which has been so helpful. You can build a recommendations engine without knowing how to code. You can build a coded moderation engine without knowing how to code. AWS, Google, and Microsoft have made a lot of stride. The only time I would think would extensively get there continuously, and I'm trying, you see, I'm intentionally trying not to put that time to it. The only time we would extensively get to that level is if we master the art of teaching AI, software development, and all these things from the very rudimentary level that people understand it completely. And even when they're using the drag and drop model, they are able to not lose the essence of the knowledge. Because right now, if a new person comes in and you teach them the no code, there's a chance that they will miss the rudimentary concept of the knowledge. So it's more about democratizing and decentralizing the knowledge space for a technical field. But I would want to predict maybe in the next 3-5 years with the level of growth within the AI space and the commitment of organizations like NVIDIA, because that's their own aim, to have everybody develop products without having to learn how to code.
Okay, beautiful. And then one other thing that I'm beginning to hear is that as much as OpenAI is doing a lot of stuff, they are not looking very profitable at all. So they are literally surviving on a shoestring, whereby it's like you're in business, but your parents are still paying your bills. While that is okay, I was looking at, it's one thing for a business not to be profitable, but still making adequate revenue. But when I was looking at the numbers, what they are making is far different from the ROI is very tiny. So what do you think is going to happen in the next few years? Of course, we know that whether they make profit or not, they will still be relevant. And let's say they declare bankruptcy, a lot of people are going to jump to buy them, which is now a game of arms, and nobody will want to just let them go. So what do you think is the best way for them to run?
Okay, I think that question comes in two ways. The best way for them as OpenAI and the best way for entrepreneurs to run. For entrepreneurs to run, my biggest answer is this: don't do AI for AI's sake. Do AI because your product needs AI. I mean, I'm currently building a product, and when I talk to people, the first thing they ask is, it definitely has to be an AI product. No, it's not. AI technology, they're supposed to be enablers. So you're not most of what your problem you're solving are problems that can't be solved without technology. but it probably takes longer time and longer energy. You use ChatGPT to summarize, you can summarize by yourself, but it takes longer. It might be less accurate, but you can achieve it. So for entrepreneurs, I would like to implore people to not jump on the ship of following the bandwagon of using the buzzwords. Oh, I want to build an AI this, I want to build an AI that. If your product requires AI, that's fine, because AI is actually one of the most expensive things to build. If you see an AI company today get a funding of $500 million, there's a chance that 90% is going to NVIDIA or 80%. And these are probably the sort of challenge with organizations like OpenAI, which is the next phase of where I'm going to talk about. Is OpenAI going to be at risk? Maybe not. A startup sells two products. You sell the product to your customers, and you also sell investment products to your investors. The bigger goal is the profit you make from your actual product at the long run, because those are the chances that the investors are taking. At some point, they would want to make an exit. So they would have expected that you start selling so well for them to make an exit. But the enabler for you to get there is to be able to attract investors. And OpenAI are currently doing it as wonderfully as possible. If they wake up today and they say they need billions of fundings, they will get it immediately, because they are selling a dream to everybody. I mean, they are a typical example of how we should build a startup. Them and Apple, they can sell something that other people have been selling for years. They can sell it to you and you buy it as if it's new. They are the master at selling such products. So are they going to be any risk now? No, even the VCs that invest in them are playing a long game. 10 years time, they probably want to do 100x or 1000x, and they pick up their funds. Unlike us Africans, and it's even also a learning curve for us Africans, unlike us Africans, where building a product or building a company is all about legacy, not about the finance. So I want to be known as the person that founded and built this company. But in the West, it's all about the finance, because if you go back 20, 30, 40 years ago, how many of the top 100 companies in the world are still top 100 companies now? So you're really building to drive as much value as your organization. And what your focus is on is cash flow, not cash at hand. So we focus more on cash at hand, but in the West, they focus more on cash flow. So you have enough cash flow to impress investors, and you raise the value of your organization. The third part of breaking down the question is, how will OpenAI get past this? The typical model I would probably suggest to us is what happened with Twitter. Twitter was literally exactly the way OpenAI was before Elon Musk bought it. And OpenAI would get out of it the moment someone like Elon Musk buys them. Number one is maybe going a bit pragmatic. They will reduce workforce, whether good or bad, but that would help in some ways. And they will now focus on monetizing as much as they could. Obviously, it's a product sale. So currently, their subscription model makes sense. They have been reevaluating their API payment model as well. Before, it used to be you pay at the end of the month for whatever you use. Now you top up and you set a timer. When it gets to a particular percentage, it draws money from your account as well. And that's different from the subscription model. And the subscription model is probably the most profitable, but it's also easy to gain. So maybe a way around that is to ensure that no multiple sign in. If you subscribe, 5, 6, 8, 10 people can subscribe with the same account and use it, which is a downside for OpenAI. So it's not like the model itself is faulty, but there are still loopholes around usage. So someone with a premium ChatGPT subscription currently, 20 people can use it until they have maybe a unique sign in. When one person is signing in, some other person cannot use it. Maybe just like the sort of changes that Netflix made as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that has been well answered, and I will not hold you further. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. We don't take it for granted, and we hope to call you back very soon, one of these days, to give us deeper insights. Beautiful slides, beautiful contexts and concepts, and we are looking forward to having you back. Thank you very much, Moshood. It's been wonderful having Moshood Yahaya teaching us on the impact of AI in business and society. That was really deep and insightful. And thank you for joining our session. If you are watching a recording, please do good to drop a comment or connect to us, and we will be happy to respond to your inquiries. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for having